Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, Second Swing Golf here in the Tour event at Second Swing in Minnetonka, joined by Jake Montgomery, fitting manager for Second Swing, with a new iron, Callaway adding to their Apex Ai lineup. This is the Apex Ai150. First impression for me, looks really clean. Got that shiny chrome finish to it, the back badging that the Apex irons have had the last couple generations. But I guess from your perspective, Jake, where does Ai150 fit in, having obviously not hit it yet? You're just kind of looking at it. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be kind of their version of, let's say, a TaylorMade P770.
Yeah.
It's going to be a player's distance iron that's not quite as hot, designed a little bit more for launch and spin, but still gives you a lot of forgiveness and some distance on those mishits. It's definitely a little smaller in size than that Ai200. Both those irons have been great, the 200 and the 300. They just, for some players, are honestly a little too hot. They produce a lot of ball speed and they don't spin a ton. So for a player that's looking for a little bit more land angle, a little bit more spin, I think this could be an option for them while they don't want to kind of compromise on distance.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the aspects of this distance in this. You know, they have the Ai10X face within this, right? This is just designed for ball speed, designed for forgiveness on the off-center hits. But it is also a lot of players-oriented shaping and kind of offering that precision as well. So it's a hollow body design similar to the P770 that you mentioned. So in that aspect, I think that's a really good comparison. The 3 through 7 iron have a face cup technology, whereas the 8 iron through the wedge have a 17.4 face. A little more control, a little more consistency there. So it is a progressive build in that way, which I think is sort of a players-oriented design to it, whereas some of these distance irons are just give me all that distance, hollow body throughout. So I like that from the Ai150. I guess from your perspective in working with the other Apex Ai irons, is there a potential for a blend here of Ai150 to 200 and maybe 300?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the first thing I want to talk about with the cup face, in a way that's almost doing kind of a blended set within the same iron set.
Yeah, that's true.
Where they have irons that are going to be a little hotter and a little higher launching in the long irons. If there's still a ball speed or gapping issue at the top end, you absolutely could combine these with the 200s or even do a 3-piece set where you would have 150s, 200s, and 300s throughout the back. So, I mean, manufacturers are definitely lending themselves to split sets a lot more. Pretty much every meeting I have with the manufacturer now, they're talking about how their irons can be split-setted. So I think that they definitely brought this out with that in mind.
Yeah, well, it looks really good just on the first impressions, but now we have to hit it with TrackMan. So let's see what it has.
Let's try it out.
Ooh, there's a lot of ball speed off the first swing there. Ooh,
wow.
That's a good-looking golf shot. So, to clarify on some specs here, the 7-iron, 31 degrees aloft, standard with the Apex Ai150. So, in terms of the category that we're putting this iron in, you know, P770, you mentioned like I230. Yeah. That's a little stronger than those.
For sure. It's still a little stronger in loft.
Yeah. So, in that sense, probably going to spin a little less, go a little farther than those.
Yep.
But that is a really good start for this iron. I mean, it's almost a dead straight shot. You know, you're 10 inches left of the target, so that's pretty solid.
I'll take that. Hopefully most of my friends would give me that putt.
Well, yeah, I've missed a putt like that before. Wow. So,
plenty of spin.
How about the feel? First impressions of that?
Honestly, it feels great.
Yeah? I would say there's a bit of a, I don't want to say a loud sound, but it's definitely, you can tell it's not a, you know, total like one-piece forging. Like you can tell there's like the hollow body.
It feels very soft for it being a hollow body iron. I mean, I've played at I230 in the past, so I'm familiar with this kind of style of iron. I would say in that category, I mean, those first two shots, they felt just as soft as anything else in here.
Yeah.
I'm honestly really surprised by the spin. Usually I'm not getting 6,000 RPMs out of a 31-degree lofted iron.
Really?
Like, I mean, I went to I230s a couple years ago just to get my spin rate into like mid-5,000s.
Yeah.
So for this being as strong a loft as it is, the spin rate's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Another one with some good ball speed. Not quite as good as the other ones, but the spin stays up there. Ends up being a really good shot.
I mean, the land angle is very consistent so far.
Yeah. You've been right around 50 for each one. That one hovered just a little bit below, but it seems like there's a, it seems like you're confident with that iron.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a little more offset on here than I typically like personally like on an iron. But, I mean, it really doesn't bug me that much.
Oh, yeah. It's not going to bug you when you hit shots like that.
Absolutely not. This is making me think that I need to reconsider what irons I'm playing.
I mean, 4 swings in and you've missed, I don't think you've missed the center line by anything 10 feet or higher. Like, you've been in pretty darn close to the same spot every time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing from these. Let's give me a little pull there.
Okay.
A little Healy pull.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, you had it going.
I did.
You had it going. But let's bring this up here. So, okay. This is, yeah. That's, you had quite the dispersion working here before that last shot. But we'll look at some numbers. And actually, I do want to take that shot out as well and look at the numbers as well. But how did these numbers compare to kind of what you would expect out of what we talked about technology-wise, we talked about loft-wise? Does this all kind of line up with what you're thinking? I know you mentioned the spin is maybe a little higher than you might have thought.
Yes, I mean, I've hit the AI200 a few times just kind of doing product testing, stuff like that. I'd had a tough time getting it to spin over 5,500.
Okay.
We're pretty easily in like the 6,000 range, landing right at 50, which is kind of the peak of where I want to be. Over the last couple of years, my swing's changed a little bit. I've started to develop a little bit more spin. I think this could be a really solid option for a player that naturally adds a lot of spin, but they don't want to go something that's going to be way, way too hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I fit a lot of players in that P770 that they're swinging at 97 miles an hour. They want forgiveness, but we don't want to see the ball spinning through the roof. This is kind of a category I think I might fit players into, as well as just someone that in the past has played a more CB or bladed iron, where they're looking for more distance, but they don't want to sacrifice consistency or feel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, this wasn't real jumpy. I mean, the consistency for the carry got a little wider after I hit that last one there.
Yeah.
I'm curious, if you get rid of that one,
Yeah,
what is the
let's do
variance
that,
on my carry number?
Let's, yeah, so that would
2
go.
yards.
Yeah, that gets pretty consistent there. And then, you know, if we collapse everything, we can see. But I will say, for, you know, that dispersion is awesome, right? Consistency on everything gets pretty tight, of course, but the spin on your miss was also right in that window
100%.
too. Look at that. So there's a consistency with the spin. It's not just higher and spinning more, which is helpful for a lot of golfers, but it's also consistent even when you didn't hit it perfect.
Absolutely.
Which I think is really helpful and I think encouraging for players that maybe think, you know, hollow body iron, it's going to be, maybe there's the jumpers, or maybe if you miss it, it can get squirrely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you lost, you know, what was it? Probably 10 yards of carry-ish. The spin didn't change, though, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So that's something that is, you know, valuable for a lot of players. That smash factor was super consistent on the rest of those swings. So
Yeah, it was.
all right. I think I'm going to give this a try here. We'll see what happens. But so far, I have high expectations.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. AI150, I do see my first impression, the offset you're talking about. Again, it hasn't been my favorite thing in irons, but it's not terrible either.
It's not egregious.
It's not like there's worse out there for sure. But clean look. I like the, you know, obviously you got the kind of shiny chrome towards the, you know, the toe and the heel there, but it kind of nicely lines up the ball as well with the face and the grooves. Yeah, that's a good first start there. And I'm, you know, especially when I'm hitting off a mat, I am definitely a low to mid 5,000s spin player with irons.
Just come a little more into out on it.
Yeah.
Spins it lower.
That one was maybe some slight toe contact. So the spin did go
Spin
down.
dropped down a little. You didn't suffer for height or landing, although. Still about 48 land and 110 feet.
Yeah, this is good. I will say it's you can definitely feel and tell, at least I can, just with the sound, that it's, you know, the hollow body iron. It's different than that, like I mentioned, that single piece forging. So a little bit more feedback audio wise. It's not quite the fully forged player's iron. All right, swung a little harder on that one.
Great shot.
Yeah. We'll say it's giving me the shot shape that I'm looking for every single time here. Left it open just a little bit. that one could turn over too much. All right. Well, I will say after those 5 swings, there's no, well, and your swings too, there is no concern about height, landing angle, anything like that. Because we have hit irons before, even, with our swing speeds, we're on the higher end of the spectrum. Well, we have hit irons where even we can't get enough spin or enough stopping power on them because they're stronger lofted or they're too hot, whatever it might be. Not a problem here with this iron. There's certainly different types of swings here.
For sure.
You're a little more down on it, hitting that cut, which produces more spin. I'm a little bit more shallow, playing kind of a draw. So you see some differences in the numbers and the spin. But I think what's good is the consistency of the land angle for both of us.
Absolutely.
Being almost identical on every shot or really close. And it's also up near 50 for most of the shots, which is pretty darn good there.
No, it's actually kind of a great example of how different swings affect performance because we swung at the exact same swing speed, 92.6.
Yeah.
So yeah, being a little bit more across on it, you're not going to generate as much ball speed. It's going to spin a little bit more.
Yep.
And then you're more inside out with a little shallower attack angle. And we both had plenty of peak height from this iron. So that just tells you that across the board, for most players, this iron is going to generate height.
Right.
It also wasn't super jumpy. I mean, even on the one that you caught at 4,500 RPMs, it was 192. And the shot right after that was 191.
Yep.
Spin rate there is still pretty consistent. This one here, I think you just kind of hit a trap draw and absolutely flushed it.
Right.
So we got a little bit more distance from that. But I mean, if we take one out of each of ours, we're at 1.7 and 2.0. That's a pretty consistent iron.
Yeah. I think if you were to take quote unquote outliers, one of the 5 from each of us, which is sometimes what we like to do, at least to look at the numbers.
100%. I mean, those are more on us than the club.
Yeah, I'd say, especially looking at you look at mine, I had my face angle way closed, -2 something, versus the rest were slightly open.
Yep.
There's a big difference there. Kind of same for yours, honestly. A little more closed than usual. And then things get really consistent for us with both sets of shots. I'm impressed. Again, it's not I would say the one single knock I might have would be the sound of it. If you are someone that's picky about it, I'm typically not. I'm playing a Strixon ZXi driver this year, so I'm not picky about sound. But I know a lot of golfers are. But it was very consistent. It's going to be a great addition, I think, to the AI iron family from Callaway, where if you need, maybe you want the 8 through wedge that has a little bit more of the scoring properties to it, then you can, depending on how your numbers are with the 7 iron, you could go into a 200, or you could play this because it does it's already built sort of as a progressive set, which is really encouraging as well. But I mean, those dispersions, those numbers, I don't know what there would be to complain about here.
No, not at all. I mean, it generates plenty of height. It's consistent. That's really all you're looking for in this style of iron.
All right, Jake, testing complete there, AI150 and the Apex family from Callaway. I think we had some really high remarks in the testing here initially. I think I had the one piece of critique, I guess, but that's a very small thing in comparison to all the benefits that we saw in the testing. Really consistent, easy to get the ball up in the air and give you stopping power. What else did you notice just from initial takeaways from testing?
Yeah, I mean, I was just pretty blown away by the consistency, honestly. The trouble with forgiveness is it becomes more inconsistent. The reason you don't see guys on tour using these big irons is they need stuff to be down to the half of a yard. And for most players like us, we're not that precise. We don't really need that. But it's always better to have more consistency because you obviously want to know how far this club is going every time you hit it. I saw all the benefits of something more forgiving, something higher launching, but without most of the cons of where spin rate's jumping around a lot, we're losing land angle, it's really inconsistent on the distance. It had height, it had spin, it had consistency, but it had plenty of distance as well.
Yeah, so with that said, what type of golfer do you think is going to maybe fit into this iron the best, or will work best with this iron? Because I think there's a lot of benefits of kind of the wide range here, especially with the progressive design that it has.
I think it really depends on what the player is looking for. I mean, I could see myself putting this in the hands of a 5 handicap that's maybe getting into the early 40s, early 50s, that's still wanting more distance, but they don't want something that's going to go an absolute mile. or a player that's kind of going for something more forgiving. They're looking to get into something more compact, more consistent, but they don't want to throw all the forgiveness out the window.
Yeah, kind of the player that might be stepping up from a player's distance iron to maybe that, I don't know if it's a muscle back or a forged, fully forged cavity back iron.
Yep.
This is kind of a happy medium there where they can make that transition, get some of the properties of both sides there. I like that idea there, and I think it's going to fit in really nicely with Callaway's iron. Their array of options here. They have a bunch of them. I think this will be a really good option to have in the fitting bay. So, Jake, thanks for joining for the testing. Really good stuff from Callaway here, the Ai150. Go get it fit. Schedule a fitting if you think this iron is going to be right for your game. We have all of our fitters that can dial you in and make sure you're hitting more greens and shooting lower scores. So, thank you again, Jake.
Thank you.